Good afternoon and welcome to the M Global Product Call. My name is Dave Webb, Senior Vice President of Communications and Marketing, joined by Dr. Fred Templeman with a really kind of a suspicious grin on his face, but he is the head of our Scientific Advisory Council. He has been a board-certified physician. So when he's talking about products and what they do and how they work and ingredients and research, he knows whereof he speaks. And we're proud to be joined by a special guest. Fred, I'll let you introduce her.
I will.
Why don't you introduce the overall concept and then introduce our special guest?
Well, Amanda is joining us from Texas. I think that's correct, Amanda?
That is correct. I'm just outside of Houston.
And Amanda has been in contact with me. We haven't spoken except on occasion, but she is going to tell us something that the individual who is concerned couldn't tell us about. It's her daughter. And Amanda's daughter has a very common childhood ailment, which is called eczema. And eczema can be very, very bad to the point where there's blood literally everywhere when the child goes to bed, or it can be just a nuisance. And so I don't know what the situation is with Amanda's daughter, but Amanda, would you be kind enough to describe the challenges that you have faced with your daughter and her eczema problem?
Yes, so Dakota's problem, my daughter's problem, started just after I had stopped nursing her, so just a little over a year. Is a couple of small patches that were initially just on the creases, in the elbow creases, on the back of the legs, and one spot on her foot. And so over the course, she is now 8, and over the course of the years, it has consistently, we would get a little bit of improvement, and then it would get worse. Each time it would rebound, to the point where she was covered, I would put it close to 80% of her body.
Am I muted still?
Nope, you're good.
Okay, Amanda, what did you try and do over those 8 years? I would imagine that besides pulling your hair out, you probably tried everything you possibly could. What happened when you tried to get it under control?
So you're right. We definitely tried the whole gamut. So we started, initially it was just with my pediatrician, and we would go with just topical creams and ointments, and he would advise on different diet restrictions. Take away strawberries, take away take away milk, take away soy, and strawberries. And so we did. And then he said, no, I think the soy is okay. Put her on soy milk. So we put her on soy milk, and then the problems got worse. We thought that was the problem. Okay, so it's soy. So then we started avoiding soy altogether. And the problems just consistently got worse. We took her for allergy testing, and that's when we discovered that she has a corn allergy. And so then we were avoiding, so now we're up to the point where we're avoiding gluten, dairy, all things corn, because that doesn't fall into the gluten. And when I say all things corn, I mean like even derivatives of corn. Like it's pretty significant, strict diet right now. And then on top of that, we did topical steroids, we did oral steroids, and then we'd have, well-meaning friends and family that were trying to help on top of what we ended up seeing a dermatologist. He was the one that put her on the topical steroids and the oral steroids. She's been on antibiotics because she's now developed MRSA. Because she's constantly, with wounds and bleeding. We've done bleach baths, we've done probiotics, we've done, the gamut is huge, to the point where I was really thinking this is just our life. This is how it's going to be.
That's an awful, awful feeling when you think that there's no place else to go, and you have gone and seen everybody you possibly can see, and the problem has only been modified. It hasn't been eliminated or brought under control. And what prompted you to be willing to try one more thing?
Well, it's kind of a funny story. So, as you know, Janbury was looking like they were going to close their doors. I was a Janbury consultant. And I was speaking to the sponsor that I had, and she was saying, I really think you should give this M product a try. And I said, honestly, I've tried every supplement, everything. And she said, then you've got nothing to lose. And I said, all right, give me the sticks. and so that's what we tried. She initially gave me 5 to try, and because she had a supply, because I wasn't going to invest in any more products, because, like I said, we were forking out almost $200 in just skincare and topical steroids every month anyway. So I wasn't prepared to spend even more money on something that, I was thinking probably wouldn't work. And so I started off with just 5 sticks, and I thought, well, I'll stretch it out as far as I can. And we did just a third of a stick every day. And so I was able to stretch it out for a couple of weeks. And I saw some improvement, because the redness got a bit better. And when we ran out, the redness definitely came back. And so I went, we might be onto something here. So, but because I've seen sort of mediocre results with things in the past, I wasn't prepared to, think we had found a complete solution. But that's where we started.
And when you finally got something that you could measurably say was the probable result of what you were giving your baby, what did you notice?
So then from there, I went and said, okay, I need to test this out further. So I went and got a box, and we did a half a stick is what we started with. And within 3 days, I was seeing a significant improvement. I'll post some pictures if you guys want to see after, but it was a significant improvement in 3 days on a half a stick, and I went, whoa. So then we went to a full stick, and that was in around when I had the conversation with you, Dr. Suffolk, and it was that I should spread it out throughout the day, like do a third of a stick, 3 times, like 3 drinks in the day, 1 stick, but spread it out throughout the day. And so that's what we did. And she went from, like I said, 80% coverage of her body to now she has, her arms are completely healed. Her torso is completely healed. Her face, her neck, it's all healed. Her upper legs are healed. It's just a small percentage on the shin area and calf area, and then the feet. That's always been the worst, but it's steadily improving.
Now, can I ask you if you could guess what your daughter was thinking? What was her response to the idea that, look, things are getting better?
She is over the moon. She's finally able to sleep at night, because, of course, she was awake all night scratching, and she wouldn't stop scratching because she was bleeding. And now she's just like, look, Mama, I can wear shorts again. she was really getting self-conscious as well. And she's a whole new, she's just so bright and happy now.
Well, let me interject here just for a moment and tell you that I just came back from looking at PubMed, and I put in inflammation and mangosteen, and I got back over 30 papers. Now, each one of these papers were indicative of a number of researchers, so PhDs or MDs, someplace in a university being paid to investigate and see whether we could maybe get a drug out of some of these supplements, because that's what they're all looking for. But the interesting thing is that here you are using just a little bit of the mangosteen, and it's better than all the drugs that you've had up to date, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have never seen a response like we have since we started on the CoreAO. Never had we gotten this much of a response. And that's including, like I said, the super strict diets and everything else that the dermatologists and any other paper that I was reading, they were all indicating all these quote unquote cures, and nothing. The best I had was the dermatologist saying that, well, hopefully she'll outgrow it.
Well, you know, Dave's here from the marketing side. If I had to do a what if each one of these sticks cost $5? Would you still be buying them?
Oh, absolutely. Now that I know what it can do, that's my husband's the same. Buy it. He said if my husband joked that if the company were to go like Canberry did, you know what I mean, where there was a big risk, buy up every box by the grade.
Well,
so that we would never run out.
The good news is, Amanda, you've encouraged us to now double prices. And so we appreciate that business model. It's going to be terrific for us. I'm joking, of course. Everyone needs to understand this is something I'm listening. I mean, I want Fred to carry this conversation. I did get a little, the compliant person in me got a little concerned when I heard the word heal, because we are very careful not to say that any of our products diagnose, treat, prevent, cure, heal, any such thing. What you're reporting, and Amanda, this is great news for you and your contacts. You have family and friends who have known your daughter, who have known your situation. This is something very simple and absolutely encouraging to share. But everyone else on the call, please be aware, you are not allowed to make a claim based on what you heard Amanda say. It's just not permissible. Why are you laughing so much, Fred?
Well, I'm laughing because I have seen this before.
Yes.
In fact, a very tearful interview with the mother of a child in Alberta who had a very similar situation, but her son refused to go to school. He was being homeschooled because he felt so centered out by the fact that he had lesions everywhere, that he had not been to school, even though he was several years into the age group that would have been in school. And this mother was so tearful because her life had changed. She says, I can do other things with my day now. And it really is life-altering. And the interesting thing is that everybody's body tries to stay healthy. That's the way we're made, thank goodness. And so homeostasis, or the state of equilibrium where everything's in its right order, would normally have your daughter having no lesions whatsoever. But her body was unable to marshal the allies that were necessary to dampen an immune system which was completely out of control. And we do not fully understand just exactly how that happens, although I believe that some children are sensitized absolutely in utero and enter life with several strikes against them because unfortunately they've been exposed to things which will cross the placenta and which will predispose them to problems as dangerous as your daughter's or as diabetes, for example. So
let me follow up on my thing. Thank you for that, Fred. And again, these stories are absolutely heartwarming. We love them, we encourage them, and we welcome them. We just ask that our associates and members and customers, wherever you may be sensitive to how that information comes across. It's very difficult to hear someone's issue or lament and then say, I'm not allowed to tell you how this might help. But we ask that you do be careful with that, because what you can say is, you know, I've heard a story similar to what you're describing. I have access to something that may work or may not. Would you be willing to try?
Or let them listen to Amanda's story.
Correct.
Because nothing is as convincing as a parent who has a big chunk of their life given back. When a child suffers, a parent suffers as well. And it is so excruciating to have a child who can't sleep, who is unable to get the normal benefit of sleep simply because she has a problem she did nothing to create. And when parents and children and people in general have tremendous relief from something, and it happens because of a food, because you know, the mangosteen, it's a fruit. It's a kind of Asian orange, if you want to call it that. I didn't know what to call the product the first time that I ever used it. I called it jungle stuff because I wasn't sure what it was. And what happened with me, I was going to tell you my story about dengue fever. I'll do that another time. but the things that it did for me made me a believer. The things that it did for my patients made me a believer. Not because it's a drug, not because it's intended to go into the body and correct something, but because it's the raw material with which your body corrects its own problems. That's the beauty of it all.
I love it. Now, Amanda, we want to kind of wrap the call up. We already have your credit card on file, and apparently you've ordered 10,000 boxes, so we appreciate that. Amanda, do you want to give us any closing thoughts, any closing sentiment about what we've been talking about?
I hope this reaches as many people as possible, because I would hate to see anybody else have to suffer the way that Dakota had to. 2 weeks before I even heard of M Global, 2 weeks before, she's always had a completely sweet spirit, and just has tolerated all of this so well. And 2 weeks before, she broke down in tears saying, "Mama, I just want it to stop." And I prayed for something to help her, and I can't thank you guys enough. I really can't.
Wow.
Amanda, thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Your story is going to help many, many people. And Dakota is not a pioneer. If everyone had known what I've known and seen, we would have been further along this path. But I am so pleased that Dakota is benefiting from something that her body has been needing but didn't get. And now that it has it, it can do its job so much more effectively. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thanks, Amanda. Thanks to Dakota. Give her a big hug from us, please.
I will.
All right, everybody, that will do it for our call. We appreciate all of your time and attention here. Just about 5:30 p.m. Fred, are you good? Dr.
Good.
Templeman, that's disrespectful of me if I just say, to me, he's Fred. He's our buddy. He knows things and he shares, but he is a doctor. So Dr. Templeman, thank you very much for being with us, sharing with us, and helping this experience along.
Well, this is my way of being able to help lots of people instead of seeing one person every 15 minutes in my office.
That's a great point. All right, everybody, have a great night. Join us tomorrow for some information. We'll be doing a little bit more information on, well, it's the business building call. It's the corporate training call. And we'll have that information for you tomorrow, the Tuesday night call. Thursdays with Andy Willoughby, Kat Barnes on Thursday night, the Saturday morning call with Dennis and Sue Ligon. We are eager to share with you and looking forward to our convention. I don't want to say it out loud, but today's October 1st. The convention is November 1st. That's coming right up. So everybody get psyched, get ready, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye.